Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Manuel, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Gal.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Nick is here.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Say it again.
Hi.
There you go.
Hi.
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 Spence is
Hey.
not going to be
Hey, Amnon, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Spence is not with us this morning. He's visiting out of town. He said he may come in for a while if he's got good internet wherever he is. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software, Telestream's Wirecast software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. So, what is happening in the computer world?
Well, it's not the computer world, but we've got a presidential debate coming up in about 48 hours.
Oh, so finally.
Or 72 hours, I guess.
So
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that'll be the kickoff, the home stretch of the U.S. election. So I said to a guy yesterday, I went to an event. I said, hey, how's it going? I said, will you put me in a coma for the next 36 days?
I like this type of entertainment.
Oh,
comedy.
yeah, but I mean, I'm just everybody's worn out, and we still have a lot of time to go.
I know. This is I gotta say, this is one good thing about cutting the cord.
None of that BS anymore.
Mostly it's not. I mean, you still see it when you go to live TV, but not on the cables, the cables, the channels that we watch. And besides, I mean, Kathy's home, so it's Netflix or Roku channel or whatever. I don't know. I have not seen many election ads. It's great.
They're all over the place.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. But it's nice. Thank you, Gal.
You see, now I'm put on some blacklist of political dissidents.
No. Actually, whitelist. Why is Wig saying, what time are you kicking off the show today?
I don't know.
On.
Is YouTube not on?
Yes, everything's good.
That's weird. He really doesn't need to refresh because if he's been watching before the show, it's just continues. There's no break. Very interesting. All right. So let's see. What was that? Oh,
I actually,
yeah.
I think I collected something. Let me just pull it out. Yeah, here it is. So, Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, how should I put it? They they are saying they're going to pull out of Europe,
Yeah,
because they feel they are over-regulated.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like uh, that's an interesting. Just the headline was we'll stop operating in Europe because regulators need to back down. And this is like, I am so bad in doing my own regulation that I asked government to step in, and now government is doing its job, and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And as a punishment, I'm just gonna stop doing the bad thing that nobody wants. I say let them pull out.
I mean, the story that I was reading about it was that they said to the court. I mean, it was in a court where there was somebody was standing there and talking. And they said that they're going to pull out and uh, deprive of the citizens who like to use it. They they're going to punish the members of that of Europe because. And I said, boy, doesn't that sounds like just like a drug dealer? You know, give him some,
Drug
give
dealer.
him
That
some,
sounds
give.
to me. It sounds more like a little boy, right?
Yeah.
Who says, "If you don't give me dinner,
Yep.
I'm just gonna go to my room."
Yeah. Well,
Come on.
and the writer that wrote the one that I said they threatened that they're going to take their toys and go home.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
same.
It's like
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I agree.
it's. I really hope that that would be the end, because this would prove that this period of time, right, where this single entity has so much control
Mm-hmm.
over people, right, it should stop. And the only place it seems that is actually doing something actively about this is Europe, right? They're a very strong government, the
Mm-hmm.
European Union, and these type of regulations that they're putting on. It's funny, right? This the most advanced, citizen thoughtful regulations are coming from what we used to call the old world, right? Europe is leading when it comes to regulation of anything internet, and so and I'm guessing it's because the politics in the U.S. right now are just so messed up, and so there's this huge divide between the two sides that nobody's talking about content that used to be talked before, right? And so the Europeans, they're busy taking care of their citizens right now, and this is this is so this is like watching a little kid right now having a fit, having a tantrum, and the only responsible reaction is that's a very good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll bet you there are a lot of Americans that saying, "Why don't you do it here?"
Yeah,
Yeah, but I find it interesting though that Facebook, the kings and queens of regulation, are now the thought police and everything that now are they don't want to play by somebody else's rules, so they're going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I do find
exactly.
I do find it to be quite ironic.
Yeah, and I mean, it exposes them in the best possible way, right? It's suddenly they're not even hiding behind the fact, right, that when you start thinking about the individual person and their rights and what should be okay, right, they're not okay with that.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
they want to go by different rules. They make the rules, not somebody else.
yeah,
Yeah.
they think they are that it's okay for them to make the rules, and
Yeah.
it's not, and we know it's not, because
Right.
they haven't made a single decision that was right. I mean, even when you compare um, other big tech, right, if you look at Apple, if you look at Google, um, I think the only evil, real evil organization, I mean, an organization that was perceived as evil, a while back, that was Microsoft, and they changed their ways as well, right? So it's like, at least do something that seemingly does something positive. And with Facebook, every little step they do, everything blows in their face as evil. And they need to ask themselves why.
They're not going to.
Well, like so
Apparently not.
they're trying it this year in the U.S. Political advertising on Facebook, I believe, stops in about 2 weeks. They're stopping it. I think, yeah,
No,
I heard
I'll
about,
look it up to
I
be
read the
sure.
headline, right?
But
Nobody
they're
knows how it will look like.
well, they're just like so. I know I know a couple of local politicians that I'm helping with their stuff, and their ads are ending on. Well, I'll have to go back and look at the date. I talked to a gentleman about it yesterday, and Facebook will not be selling any political ads now. We'll see what comes of that, but that's their attempt.
I thought they were saying that they are not going to have new ads, but if it's already there, it will continue, but it will stop after election night. After the
Oh,
polls close, there are no more political.
I'll
Or
have to
was that
go and look. From what he told me, his ads were running for about 2 more weeks, and then they were done. I'll have to go and verify that because that does sound
interesting?
like what I heard. Um, but I mean, this goes back to what Gall said. They people think that they were the boogeyman in the 2016 election
Hmm.
when the reality is they weren't. Um, and then this is how they're trying to um,
They want, they were
portray that.
used. It doesn't really
They
matter,
were,
right?
but if you look at well, were they used? Yes, but if you look at the big group, of course, was that group, that Cardinal Analytica group, and they purchased something like $5,000 worth of political ads. Now, I don't know if you've never bought Facebook ads on. If you've never bought ads on
No,
Facebook, you
that's
say, "Wow,
nothing.
$5,000, that's a lot."
That's a
No, it's
lot.
not. $5,000 is like 80,000 impressions. It's a very small, very, very, very small
It-
group of people.
They,
Um,
they
but it got a lot of bad press, so it might as well have been $10 million.
did you hear this week that they um the guy that was in charge of the Cambridge Analytica
Cambridge Analytica, yeah.
um was after the court case, he cannot be on a board of company or he was punished, and the court said that all that stuff was a fake, that they allowed people to do that, that
Yeah,
he allowed uh people to do this because they wanted to make money. But this is 4 years later, 5 years later, it's coming out.
but I mean, who cares? Huh? I mean, the argument I make is if for example, I'll give you a great example. Um, I was listening to the radio the other day, and I heard an ad for in North Carolina. I heard an ad for Cal Cunningham,
Mm-hmm.
who's running against Tom Tillis,
Mm-hmm.
and the ad said that Tom Tillis has passed things to hurt black people, and
Yeah.
that's just not true. So if we're gonna attack Cambridge Analytica for misleading or fake Facebook ads, well, then we should look at political ads across the aisle, because when Cal Cunningham is running an ad that Tom Tillis hates black people, that
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's on the radio. That's FCC regulated.
Yeah.
That is worse, in my opinion, than what Cambridge Analytica did. So elections are dirty. I don't know why this is. I mean, they're dirty. They're in the mud. They're brutal. This is what they are in the United States. This is how they've been
It's not just
for
in the
years.
United States. It's
But
everywhere.
wasn't the problem with Cambridge Analytica was not so much the ads they
No.
ran, but their access to data that wasn't supposed to
That
happen?
that thing that what's his name?
Yes.
The dossier.
Well, that Christopher Steele dossier. I don't think
Yeah.
that was Cambridge Analytica.
Well, I mean, he was
it may have
involved
been.
with them,
Yeah, he was. That's true.
and they made it possible for him to do it. So I don't know. That's what the article said. But
So yeah,
yeah,
we're in the home stretch, and I've seen a lot of political ads on Facebook.
why do
Um,
you? I mean, I don't go there much, but when I go there,
well,
I don't see ads. I don't know if I'm just ignoring them
I,
or I just don't see
you
them.
you might the one thing that Facebook does really well with its ads is if you're not really paying attention, they blend very well in line. They fall right into your news feed, and depending on what the ad is, for example, if it's a pro-Trump ad, you might not even realize it because you're like, oh, it's just somebody reposted something about Trump.
Hmm.
They're good. I mean, they're if you look right at the top of the post, it will say paid for by or paid in partnership with. It'll tell you pretty much right away um what the ad is or who the ad's from.
That means you have to.
Um,
That means that you have to pay too much attention.
well,
I
I wouldn't say
saw
you have to. I wouldn't say
like
you have to pay too much attention, but
a couple of weeks ago, in the comics, I can't remember if it was Pickles or whatever, and Grandpa is telling grandkid, um, "Boy, my head hurts so much, it's gonna pop like a popcorn kernel." And the kid says, "Why?" He says, "Because of all the stuff I learned. It just adds on, and before you know it, there's no room." That I'm gonna have to shrink my brains a little bit. And the kid says, "How do you do that?" I said, "Social media."
yeah,
That was good.
Yeah, that is definitely the situation right now.
Yeah. So, uh, cell phones. Verizon, the largest wireless network in the US, has acquired TracFone.
oh, really?
Yep, the largest mobile
Hmm.
virtual network operator. TracFone is the largest reseller of wireless services in the US with 21 million subscribers, around 850 employees, and a network of more than 90,000 retail locations. It is owned by Mexico based America Mobile, and along with the TracFone brand, operates the Net10 and Straight Talk brands in the US. More than 13 million TracFone customers already rely on Verizon Wireless Network. TracFone doesn't run its own physical network in the US and instead rides on other cell phone carriers' systems for a fee. So if you have a TracFone, now it's Verizon. It's interesting. There
Thoroughly,
were
right?
hmm?
I'm guessing if they had contracts with other providers in certain areas, that'll still happen.
I would assume so. Yeah, like
Yeah, yeah,
they've got too many customers.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
they definitely have a lot more access to the customers now.
They have
certainly.
they still have that weird model though. They still use airtime.
Who?
Track phone.
Oh,
You still buy uh what they call
certain amount,
airtime.
certain
Yeah.
amount of interesting.
Yeah, minutes. Yeah. But yeah, reload you reload yourself with airtime. That's a very antiquated model uh currently, but not uh
Hmm.
it was pretty common not
Yeah.
that long ago, yeah.
Oh well, there was another story about Verizon that I did not save. That Verizon and AT&T are complaining to the FCC, trying to slow that demand that the FCC will slow the growth of T-Mobile because T-Mobile is asking for more spectrum.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
And the thing that the funny thing is that that T-Mobile has, I mean, a fraction of what Verizon has. Verizon has the most apparently, and they have a fraction of what they have. And they said, here's the big guys are asking because they're afraid to meet them in the markets. But yeah, T-Mobile is growing, and they wouldn't be growing if they weren't doing things right. Right? It doesn't just
Well,
happen.
well, yes and no. They've got a very they've got a very lucrative system over there at T-Mobile. You get
Well,
lots of goodies. I'm not. This isn't a shot at T-Mobile, but they've got a lot of goodies when you have T-Mobile. You get like a streaming service for free.
mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if it's still the case. I know NFL or that was Verizon. Maybe it's Netflix or something like that for or part of your subscription cost. So they've got some goodies that make it.
So what's wrong with that?
There's nothing. I'm saying that's why they're growing.
Oh,
And it's not
yeah,
necessarily. I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong,
yeah,
but they offer a lot of goodies to make it
add-ons.
quite a lucrative deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that they're the. It's not. The point is, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the better service. They can dangle a couple of shiny things in
Mhm.
your face, and you go, oh, okay, this is not a bad deal.
Well,
That's what
Dirtbag is
Amazon
saying
did
the what?
with
Yeah,
Prime, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly what Amazon did.
I'm wondering how is the service? Because I mean, when I'm thinking about
It's
getting a cell
okay. It's
phone,
great. I use T-Mobile.
Yeah,
okay,
and what do you get with free with it?
I don't care. I don't use anything that they give me.
But it's
I
it's
just
it's
got
some
some line.
it's some pretty good stuff though. It's like it is. I think music. It's either like Spotify or Pandora. Um,
Well, even if they give me, I have Spotify Family. I'm
yeah.
paying. So, um, um, I mean, at the beginning they gave Netflix.
Yep.
I don't. I don't subscribe to that. So, uh, never used it. Every Tuesday they have these deals that sometimes they give something. I watch the ads. I can't say I've ever acted on them, but
hmm.
Yeah. For the
the
T-Mobile.
service is good and it's cheap as cheap as the others. It's not like cheaper. It's not more expensive. Okay.
The unlimited the Magenta plan at T-Mobile, which is their $35 a month line, gives you free Netflix or Quibi as a streaming service. So that's what they're doing.
Quibi is free over the air.
Maybe.
I get
Now
it.
I don't think they
you
exist over there.
well, not over the air, but over the
There's a channel of the air. It's called Quibi. I don't know
Oh,
if
yes,
it's
they do. They've got similar to Cheddar TV. They've got like a 24/7 loop channel that they've got on some probably on a digital
okay.
channel up in
Yeah,
Raleigh. That makes sense.
and I had something with Verizon on Friday. I got the notification that the bill is ready, and I'm saying, wait a second, it went up. So I went and compared it to last month, and it went up by $12. And I thought maybe I paid it late, or maybe they got it late. I can't find what's the difference. So I called. I mean, it's a whole lot easier to call. And I said, I want to know why it's more expensive now that this month than it was last month. And the person that I was talking with looked and he said, I have no idea, but I'm going to process credit. I said, the credit would better be a permanent one, not for just for this month. And he said, yes, it will. We got disconnected. So I called again and talked to a lady. And I told her what happened and all that. And she said, let me see. And I said, and I'd really like to know why. And as she was looking and looking, I went and looked at we have 3 lines. And I looked at the monthly break and I saw that it each 2 lines went up $6 each.
Hmm.
My line and Kathy's line, Hannah's line stayed the same. It was the higher price line, the 23 something, and ours was 17 something. So I said, wait a second, I'm seeing something here. And she looked and she said, oh yeah. Well, that that was a promo that you had for a year because we appreciate you being a loyal customer. I said, well, you're
Huh.
not appreciating it that much, are you? She said, what do you mean? I said, now you taking the full amount. So what's going on? And she said, well, let me see what I can do. And she went back and forth. She said, okay, I got it down for another year. Um, and I said, this is getting tiring. Every year you have to call in and go through all this. And then you say, okay, it's fine. Why can't you just do it to begin with? I mean, say, okay, forever. It's going to stay. Don't raise their price. They've been with us for over 20 years. She said, I don't know, but that's the way the company operates. So it actually went down by 55 cents a month from last month. So, it's all right. But it's amazing how they just raise it and they're raising it just enough that they know that most people will not even pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a shame. All right.
Well, I wouldn't call it a shame. I would I'd call it good business on their part.
It's good business on their part, but really, I don't feel like I'm married to them. I told her, I said, look, you leave it like this, you can't do anything. I mean, I'll take the numbers and I'll go to another company that offers more than what you do.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, seriously.
Yeah.
Your one call a year to get your price down to 17. There is
Well,
no way that that's worth the amount of time. You know the pain in the ass it's going to be
to
to try to
change.
switch
I know,
providers?
but it works with them when you tell them
I
that.
know it works with them, but
Yeah.
in all honesty, like
I
the
know
amount
it
of
will be a
time and
pain.
effort.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You'd be better off calling them every 3 months to get your price down than trying to switch
No.
providers. I mean, switching providers is a huge pain.
Why? Why is this huge pain? It's just filling up a form. I don't get it.
Well, if you're going from Verizon to AT&T, though, you have to make sure your phone is on this.
Compatible
You
and
have a
that you
phone that's on
and
the same network. Those use two different. One is GSM, and the other is
TDMA.
whatever the
Oh,
other
you're
one
talking
is.
about maybe needing to buy a different device,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? But
I would.
still
Yeah,
not a pain,
It is.
right?
I
No,
It
no,
just
mean,
no.
depends on the timing because eventually you're going to buy a new device. So,
You will.
yeah.
I don't.
No, I mean every few years you do buy a different device. It doesn't matter if it's 1 year, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Mm.
You eventually buy a different device, right?
I'm
So
using an LG G3. How old is that? 7, 8 years?
couldn't tell you.
It's fine. I
yeah,
don't. I'm not one of them that gets a new one every so often. Nah. But anyway, so here's a situation, and I tried to get it from. Wait, let's see what Arnie Carr is saying. Did you pay 17 a month? A line? It's I mean, for 3 phones, we're paying about $111. Go figure it out. I mean, I was looking just at what per line charges the bottom, the basic thing, and yes, it was 17 something instead of 23 something. And I said, "Yeah, that's exactly $6 more," and that's what it was. So anyway, um, God, I
hmm
was you know what IFTTT is, right?
yes.
So they're going to start charging, and they want to
That's not too
charge.
surprising.
They want to charge. I mean, a good amount. I mean, some people that when I was reading like 9.95 a month, and the guy was saying 9.95 a month in Europe gets me this and this and this and Netflix and blah blah blah. And I said, what do you mean I'm going to pay for that? Now I only use IFTTT with my memory not being as good as it was to call me but 3 times, 4 times a week to remind me that a show is coming up.
Okay.
Um, I when I was talking
Wouldn't
about it,
a reminder on the phone be enough?
I needed to come to my regular phone, not to my cell phone, because I don't carry my, I don't carry my cell phone all the time, especially when I'm at the house. So
Okay.
it needs to be a phone call. Um, I was talking with Nick and Brian on Tuesday night on Nick's show, on their show, and Nick was looking into it, or Brian, I can't remember Nick, and found out that they will only allow three
Integration.
custom apps a month. I mean, three custom apps plan for free. Um, Nick, I don't understand the difference between custom app or built-in app.
I might be wrong on that. I don't know. That's just what I thought I
No,
read.
It sounds like three integrations, just three operations,
Yes, three integrations.
three actions.
Correct.
well. I mean, I just use their thing that
You have only one rule.
it's one rule. They're all, and if it's this day and it's there, I did not write anything. I just took it, and if it's this day, that time, then call my number, and they have the number anyway. So I started looking
Yeah.
around and looked around and looked around, and others are a lot more complicated. I mean, you have to write your own. There was one
Yes.
that said that they have free, and they do have a free way to do it, but when you find out that you have to get an account at Ring Central, I think that was Zapier or something like that. Everybody swore by it. Okay, so now the plan on Zapier to be to on Ring Central to be able to generate a call is something like $19.95 a month.
Yeah. Zapier is not Ifttt.
Yeah.
Zapier is a integrator of multiple paid services.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It
you
hooks
see,
services together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at the free ones that said absolutely free, and they did not have that. You have to write your own thing. And I'm going again and again. Now, in all honesty, when you go on Ifttt to upgrade to the Pro, they say, do you want to pay the $9.90? They say now that up till October 7th, whatever you say you want to pay, we'll honor it forever. So they have an option $9.95, $5.95, or $99 and $3.99, and then put your own price as long as it's more than $1.99. I said, well, then I'll put $2.
Why?
What? Wait,
Why?
listen to this. I mean, $2 will be worth it, but listen to this. In reading, I came across a couple of posts that said that people said they put $2 and Ifttt charged them $9.99. Now, when you do something like this and you put the credit card in there, if I'm not mistaken, it's an act of God to get it taken off, or you have to cancel your credit card. I don't remember. There was something when you
Huh?
go. But anyway, so then I was reading, and somebody was saying, what are you people talking about? The only thing you need is Home Assistant.
Exactly.
And I said, oh, God. And
Oh, where did you get that?
I bought it.
What, from where?
That's my way of supporting the project.
Where can I buy one?
Go to the site.
Oh, I didn't know they sold Home Assistant.
Yeah, they are now a company, right? It's not just a hobby project. They sell cloud services and they sell some merch.
All right, I'm going to buy some merch.
That's starting 2019, I think, when they started.
yeah.
Maybe 2018. Yeah.
And
That's
and,
true.
and
Wow,
that,
very cool.
and that's why you're telling me why pay the $2. I don't mind paying the $2 because it's supporting them. $2 a month.
Why not pay $10?
No,
24
but that's the thing. That's not supporting them. So here's the thing, right? Ifttt started what?
Years ago.
5-6 years ago,
Mhm.
right? And when they started, I will give it to them. They were pioneers.
Yeah.
But, and here's a huge but, they always were free,
Right.
right? They did have a paid tier.
They did?
Mhm.
The paid tier came up about 2 years or 3 years into their
Okay.
into their
Existence.
life. And what they did was, when you had too many calls, right? I think they started at 10,000 interactions, right? Then that will require the paid tier.
Yep.
And that makes total sense. If you create, count it at 100 a day, okay? It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Right.
Put a limit that shows, right, that you're doing something more than a hobby. And that starts to make sense. $10 a month is a lot of money,
I know. It's
right?
ridiculous.
It's a lot of money for somebody to do something. Now they're popular, right? And I do understand it costs running these services. I'm not oblivious, but they are not that great of a service. They allow a very simple logic. If something
Right.
happens, do something,
Yeah.
nothing more. They do not allow anything. If they would have charged me $1 a month, right, they would have offered a plan to do that, right, and still with a limited rate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing nobody will have a problem and nobody will complain about being charged, right? They'll offer a very fair thing for homes. I'm guessing most of the accounts in Ifttt today are dormant, doing nothing, maybe even calling the void, right? And so it will be fair to start charging something just to clean up the mess and allowing people to get something that is very simplistic and keep it simple and keep it in, like, this is the most, the most you can get. The way they start, when they started to try to make this a profitable service, is when they turned completely on their customers, on their users, not customers.
Yeah.
Nobody was paying. I don't know what you describe about the I see the set your price in their plans. Interesting. And even if they do accept the $2 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would buy it only if you really plan on using it, right? And if not, run your own. Running your own is so simple. It is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but on the other hand, Carl, it's simple for you because you have the setup for Home Assistant. Home Assistant is not a little utility. It's a
Home
very
Assistant will cost you, if you need to, if you need now to invest in order to get it, right? Home Assistant will cost you around $80 of hardware,
Mhm.
right? Dedicated
I
Raspberry Pi with a case
right.
and a power
I
supply,
understand.
and that's it.
I understand.
Well,
But
hold
the
on, but
thing
that's
is,
not true.
why?
What do you mean?
So in Amnon's case, though, let's just use his case as an example. What he's trying to do, you're going to have to work with a provider to make phone calls. So there will be an additional cost with that.
No, I have phone line. I
Or
have
you
phone
hook it
lines.
up.
I
Yeah,
have phone lines,
yeah,
but you do. Correct. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you
That's
have to
right.
use
Hold
a
on, hold
you have
on,
to use
hold
a-
on.
you
There
have
is
to
a
use
provider that provides free numbers. It's called Google Voice. Not a problem.
Yeah, but an API, the Home Assistant will make calls through Google
I
Voice.
haven't tried it. I
I-
haven't tested, but
yeah.
I'm guessing we can figure that out.
But okay, so let's go back. It is not a small utility. It is
No, it's not
something
a
very,
small.
very. To me, it looks like. I mean, after the show last week when you and Nick were working on, I mean, this was a unbelievable.
What it can do, it is
I
unbelievable.
understand.
I'm with you.
I understand, and that's the thing now. If I needed to do all these things, and maybe I'll start doing these things, but the thing is that it's too much just for that.
No, that's where That's where you got it wrong.
Okay.
Wrong.
It it is exactly as complex as you need it to be. It is as simple as, let's put it this way. What Nick was trying to do, right?
Yeah.
He was sure it was the most complex task uh, in the world on the route he was already going through, right?
And it was.
It was really really complex. There were a lot of steps that he needed to put in place in order to get a graph of weather status, right, on a screen, and nothing he was doing was wrong. He was reading up on all of the methods available out there, libraries, etc., tools. And when I told him, let's try this, he also thought, no, come on, that's just going to take me on another curve, right, and be so much more complex than what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
What Home Assistant is doing today is what every other, not only home automation, any automation system, right, is trying to achieve. Home Assistant has done it starting as a hobby project. This is Home Assistant right now. If you want to compare it to something in the 90s, Home Assistant is like Linux, is like this small little project that seems like a stupid thing to even invest in, right? Has become this all around production system all around the world, right? I'm telling you, Home Assistant is on the same way, because even though it started as a hobby project, even though it's providing just people with different ways of automating steps and doing things that seemingly are complex and doing it in a simple way, the way they did it, the overall system around it is, it's an engineering system written by engineering, and starting about 2 years ago, written not only for engineers, written for anyone in any area, right?
Okay.
Nick is using it as a weather station, not as an home automation system.
I'm
It's
doing
like
no
it can do,
automation with it at all.
right,
Yeah.
it can do anything that you want. So does it have a lot of switches and does it look really 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 complicated? Yeah, it looks that way, but once you start using it, you understand that it has a very simple usage philosophy, and you can go as deep as you need with it. So it's like, oh, I don't want to install Windows. It looks so complex. Start running it and use just the features that you need, and that'll work. And the thing is that setup wise, Home Assistant is probably the simplest system to set up today for any type of automation and any type of data tracking. It's so well done that they're not going away, and they're gonna be around for a long time. And that's why they were able to create a business around it as well. And the business model around it works. It's not against the community that's using it. So I I don't know. It's like anybody who tries to tell me this is too hard, then just let's go through the
I
setup
don't know
process and
about
talk after that.
hard, but it looks very. It looks like you're buying a bus in order to go and get groceries at the grocery store.
You might be.
But you
But
can
guess what? The
you
bus will get you grocery. You can still
Yeah.
get groceries at the grocery store with the bus.
Yeah. Yeah. You can.
well, you're actually buying a Volkswagen Beetle, right? That can grow into a transporter.
How did you pronounce that? A Volkswagen?
Volkswagen.
What do you
Oh,
call them?
interesting.
What do you call the
A
cars
bug?
that change? No, the cars that
Yeah, bug.
A
change.
transformer?
Transformer.
Yeah,
Well,
transformers.
Well,
transformers that don't usually grow. A transformer that connects to another transformer and connects to another transformer.
all
Then
right.
you get
So
Megatron.
so now
And
tell
all
me.
hell breaks
Exactly.
loose.
So now tell me this. You said a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
Okay. What about running on the Plex server on?
Yeah.
y-
Yeah. For you, definitely.
so it can.
Yeah, that's how I'm running it.
That's how I'm running it too.
That's how Nick's running it.
I've got
Okay.
all of my stuff on
All right. Well,
one whole thing. I've
yeah,
got
but
all
I'm
my
talking about
servers running on one physical
Linux. I'm talking
box.
about Linux.
It's all my stuff's
Now,
That's the
Linux.
thing. Yeah. Okay. All right. All
now,
right. I mean,
if you're talking about making a call and talking to you, then that will probably require something like Asterix, right? Which is another amazing project that has become production level, right? But a simple modem in that machine of yours, right?
Mm-hmm,
And an Asterix suite, and that server will do that for you.
all
And
right.
I'm actually thinking, Amnon, there's probably better ways than making that phone call. There's different ways of making. Let's make all the lights in the home flash for a second. It'll be easier and more effective.
No, but you see, that's the thing that if I'm out of the house somewhere and I have my phone, it'll ring my phone and then it'll ring my cell phone. And if I'm somewhere and I forgot about because I'm into something that's oh shoot, I've got a show to do in an hour, and
It's super easy to do though. There's so many
Yeah, we
API
can do
call
that.
services and you'll pay $1 or $2 a month depending on how many calls you're making for the API service. It'd be very inexpensive.
well,
But I want to go back to something that Gal said earlier, and I'm going to have to vehemently disagree with him on this. I don't think paying $10 a month for IFTTT is outrageous.
I think so.
Are they doing something that is unheard of? No. But I'll tell you what, if you're using it for
Start
there's
talking yearly, $120 a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. If you're
Sorry, it doesn't
using
make
that
sense.
for you, I would make the argument it does. For somebody else that just doesn't want to deal with any bullshit, I would make the argument that $10 is a
For
steal.
what? For
No.
four switches?
Yeah, for 4
I
calls.
don't know. I don't know what I mean, I wouldn't pay for it. I wouldn't pay for it. But for somebody that is using it for a lot of different things,
A lot.
$10
Yeah.
a month to not deal with
No.
finding
I
a
mean,
whole new solution is probably a steal.
I've been reading, and there's some people that are using it for home automation and all that kind of stuff, and they have hundreds of apps that they're doing.
It's a no-brainer.
For somebody like this, okay, because even if they had to take it and start from scratch, it's going to be a big to do. But right now, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about me. All I'm doing is getting it to call me 3-4 times a week. That's all. And at this point, it may be so etched in my mind that I don't even need it. I don't know. But the thing is that I wouldn't mind paying $2 a month, and that's $24 a year. Fine. But again, I understand what Gal is saying, that you can do it on your own. And I'm thinking a little bit farther than that, because if I can do it, and Gal, tell me if I'm mistaken here, if I can do it and connect the phone line, that I have the phone lines to it, then other people can use it too. If if they want to have something that will call them or that they will do some, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you see, in that case, it's worth it for me to do it, so it will serve my purpose and allow some of my friends to be able to do the same thing if they need it. And I'm sure it's nice experiment, a nice piece of software to use and to learn how to do, not just for me. So that's the way that I'm going about it. So we'll talk.
Sure.
It's fine. Yeah. If it can run on that server, on the big server, yeah. But it's amazing how nobody else is doing it as easy. And I went through about 6 or 7 different providers that do, when I said Ifttt replacement, I just Googled. And none of them, I mean, you set up an account, you go in and you say, and they tell you how to do it. They give you directions, and you go there and you don't see it. You say, what the hell? I mean, somebody showed me or sent me to a page that says, click on this, then click on that. And the Zapier was the funniest one. When you in the Zapier editor, then click on this. I spent so much time looking for the Zapier. I felt stupid saying, where is it? But finally I asked. And it's not easy to get into. Well, why are you saying when you're in the Zapier editor, click one? Tell me how to get to it first. So, but none of them was as easy as Ifttt. Ifttt was so easy to begin with. You know,
I agree.
what?
Look, I agree. IFTTT as a service is very simple. It's built great. I remember when they came out, I started using them. It made a lot of sense when they started to me, right? And nobody understood that. And the only things they could provide were things that had to do with, you know, Web 2.0 stuff, right? It's that old. It's like if you post something on Facebook, send me an email. If you things like that, that's how they started,
Yeah.
right? And there is a lot of benefit. The amount of integrations that they created in is amazing. And I agree with you. The simplicity of their service is definitely their strength. But they need to remember who are these users. So yes, a home automation user who already, by the way, was duped into using a free system, right? And created hundreds of automations and was never warned, look, we're planning on charging this in the future, right? Then, and now locking him in, right?
Yeah, that's
Starting charging $10, $120 a year, right? I do not think it's fair. I do not think it's the correct approach if you still want to keep these users. Now, there is a very valid case, right? In if you look at it from their perspective of we don't want these users anymore, it is causing us too much headache. If that's the case, right? Then at least be frank about it. We don't want these users anymore.
I kind of doubt that that's what.
I also doubt, right?
Yeah. Okay, we'll see. I mean, maybe I'll use it also to turn off the TV at 1 o'clock in the morning, so nobody can watch TV after one.
That's possible. That's very easy to do.
All right. Well, we'll see about that. Anyway, DuckDuckGo, the privacy-focused search engine, announced that August 2020 ended in over 2 billion total searches via its search platform. While Google remains the most popular search engine, DuckDuckGo has gained a great deal of traction in recent months as more and more users have begun to value their privacy on the internet. DuckDuckGo saw over 2 billion searches and 4 million app extension installations. That is nice. That is nice to see something like this. I wonder how long they're going to stay like that before maybe Google will
Well, they're
buy 'em.
making money.
Huh?
They're making money
Well, they're making
from
money,
ads.
obviously, but they like Google proved that in order to make good money, you can't be so privacy concerned. You have to sell
No,
that
that's
stuff.
not true.
Uh,
That's not true.
it's not.
So, I mean, their whole premise, DuckDuckGo, right, is we do not need to be the biggest. We do not need to be the meanest, right? But we can more than exist and do and get money and be effective and useful without tracking you. So we won't get Google type creepiness uh, of intimate knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right. It won't get that, but at least right. You're comfortable using it, and I think that makes so much sense in so many levels. That so what? So they're not going to be the biggest company in the world. They're still going to make a lot of money, and they're still going to be very, very viable. And I don't
Right.
think they'll
That's
need
that's
to
not
grow
what I
out of
meant.
it.
I think that's the way. Unfortunately, as you grow and you see the money coming in, and somebody comes to say, "Hey, you can double your money. Just do this. Oh, you can quadruple your money. Do this." That's what I'm saying. Their attitude today is good about all this, but whether or not they're going to be able to maintain it, or if they sold to somebody else who doesn't care, that's where we are going to lose. But that's the way it is. It's business, and they are definitely a business. And talking about privacy on the net, Privacy Badger is one of the best options for blocking online tracking in your current browser. For a start, it's created by the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a US-based nonprofit digital rights group that's been fighting online privacy since the 90s. It is also free. Badger tracks all the elements of web pages you visit, including plugins and ads placed by external companies. If it sees these appearing across multiple sites you visit, then the extension tells your browser not to load any more of that content. So it seems like it's learning. Um, and I don't know if that was part of what Firefox added or if it was something separate. But it's nice. It's sure nice. It's called Privacy Badger. I guess you're reading about it.
No, I've heard about it. I don't use it. I use
Oh,
uBlock Origin.
okay.
Um, I'm trying to find if there's any difference between them. I've encountered them countless times, but
No, that would be nice if that actually works the way that they're saying.
well, I can tell you, uBlock Origin does that in probably the most efficient way.
Mhm.
Yep.
I I found that any other ad blocker, there's a few, right? And I have nothing against Privacy Badger, but I did find that any other that I have tested, um, uBlock Origin, it just blows them away when it comes to resource and
Yeah.
speed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You were going to say something, Nick?
No, I said, yep, you block
Oh,
Origin. Big fan.
now listen to
For some
this.
reason, they don't get the press, but that others do. But I don't know why.
Listen to this one. Gizmodo Australia reports on Thursday users on 4chan posted what they claimed was the source code of Windows XP.
Yep.
For,
Microsoft issued that a long time ago, I think.
the what? But they
Source
never
code for
they
Windows.
never released it. A lot of people want it.
Yes.
A lot of people want it in order to modify it so they can make it secure, but it never happened. There were a lot of companies that said, "Release the source code. We'll fix it," because people still using it. Posting an image of of a screenshot allegedly of source code in front of Windows XP iconic Bliss background. One user wrote, "So, Windows XP source code leaked." Another Redditor from Reddit hopefully has uploaded the code as a torrent, assisting in its spread. While there is no confirmation that this code is definitely Windows XP, independent researchers have begun to pick through the source code and believe it stands up to scrutiny. The Windows XP source code is not the only code which might have leaked. A screenshot of the torrent files contain files and folders named Xbox, Windows Research Kernel, MS-DOS 6.0, Windows NT 3.5 and 4 source code, Windows Embedded, and CE, and many others. If true, that could spell a disaster for Microsoft because large chunks of Windows XP source code, listen to this, are still used in Windows 10.
Whoopsie.
And as for open source, this leak could become a boom for wine development. What is wine development? I don't.
You
Wine's
drink
an
it.
emulator.
Yeah, red wine, white wine.
Wine is a Linux
I-
emulator for Windows. So, sorry, a Windows emulators for Linux.
For
You
Linux.
can run.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
It emulates x86 and whatnot for Windows.
because Microsoft is notorious for having a great number of internal APIs and various hacks in their APIs, which make it difficult to re-implement them properly. So that's what could happen. Okay, now we'll be able to fix XP and put it out. Boy, I'll go back to XP.
First of all, you can do that even today without XP. There's React OS. If you've never looked at it, try it
No,
out. It's a very
no,
interesting
I'm,
project.
I'm kidding.
No, React OS is a real thing. It's an open source Windows implementation. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting project. It's not perfect, right? Because everything that you stated about the internals of Windows that is unknown, but it is. I'm always amazed that that project still keeps on kicking and
Well,
still alive.
but the thing, what I'm amazed is that no, we're not going to release. No, we're not going to release, and now suddenly it leaked.
Well, it makes sense for them not to release it. But first of all, it's their intellectual property. So
Yeah.
they wouldn't want to release that. And then, of course, the security risks of having that source code available are could be detrimental to Microsoft's business. So
I mean, the article is talking about
Yes and no.
what?
I mean, you're right that initially that's the concern, but if this is just stayed in a leaked status and not in a completely, hey, let's release this status, then you're completely right, because then only the hackers have the internals, right? And they're gonna wreak havoc. But if you decide to release everything, then you'll get a lot of help, because a lot of people are invested in this ecosystem and they would want to protect it.
Well, the thing here is they're not saying that it was hacked; it was leaked.
No, what I mean is,
No, no.
you
I-
leave
I-
it leaked, then only the hackers will have it, right?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
But it's interesting that it's like somebody from within Microsoft leaked it out. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. But maybe there'll be an update to XP soon. I still have an
Yeah.
XP. I still have an XP machine running.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, one, just
For
one.
what?
Hmm?
For what?
For the audio server.
Yeah, there's no reason for that to be XP.
Well, it's working,
Yeah,
so
you
I'm
didn't
not
you didn't
bothering.
Oh my
explain the
God, here
reason
we
for it
go.
not to be.
Yeah, it's working.
That's it.
There
Yeah.
we go. That's if I haven't heard
No,
that.
and
If I had
it's
$1 for every time I've heard
and
that.
wait a second. It's a laptop that has, I believe, 1 gig. I am not going to be able to update it to anything.
Well, it's not like you have any other computers laying around.
I understand, but you see, now you're talking about completely changing things. This is what I was wondering about, going to something that's
Jesus.
completely web based, maybe.
Why don't you run it on Linux? Put your
I
Raspberry
don't.
Pi to good use.
I don't want
Turn
to
it
run.
into an audio
I don't.
server.
I don't want to run it here. I would rather have
Actually,
a place where I can upload the video
yeah.
stream as audio, and that's it.
Hold on. Wait. You're talking about the live audio server?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to get together. I have an audio server that I'm not using. Yeah, we need. Yeah. We need to switch you over to me.
What do you mean you have one that you're not using?
I use the one for Against the Norm, but it's unlimited.
Oh, okay. And that's not at home. This is something somewhere.
No. It's running.
Well,
on
yeah,
a
we can do that.
DigitalOcean
Okay.
droplet or a
We'll talk.
Linode droplet.
Yeah, then I can just close this laptop and say goodbye.
Well, you still need an encoder though.
Oh,
so you
wait a second. So you're saying that I would have to upload audio to it?
Well, you would put BUTT on the reruns machine. You could do it that way.
We'll talk about it. Yeah, that's where it's getting its feed from.
Yeah, that's what you would need to do.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, that's that.
Yeah,
because
I'm running a piece of software called Azuracast.
That's right. Yeah.
Not to be confused with Azure from Microsoft.
Right.
And yeah, seems to be working out pretty well.
Yep.
I pay $8 a month for it and don't really use it, so might as well get some use out of it.
We'll talk.
My people will be in touch with your people.
So, Nick, you're a gamer.
Okay.
nVidia.
Yes.
GeForce RTX 3090.
3080 and 3090. What a generational leap.
Tell us about
these cards are the 3080 and 3090 put the 2080 and 2070 Ti, 2060 Ti's to shame. These cards are, in some cases, 3 times as fast, 3 times faster.
Are these the cheaper ones?
Well, so the 3080 is $599, and the 3090 is, I think, $1,500. You'd be insane to buy the 3090. There's like the only CPU that will run the 3090 to its thing was like one of the i9 Extremes. So, but the 3080 is equivalent. Well, excuse me, is similar to the 2070 Ti, which was $1,100 or is still $1,100 for literally half the price. The only problem is you can't get the cards anywhere. They are sold out everywhere. And there's actually a big issue going on with the 3080 right now. There's nVidia, the spec that nVidia released for their manufacturers, which are, so the way that it works is nVidia makes the base card.
Right.
And then partners like EVGA, Asus, MSI, they all make cards based off of a reference, right? NVIDIA makes a reference card available for them and a spec for them to build their card after. The NVIDIA reference card it doesn't have an issue, but it's got a subpar power delivery system that is causing significant performance and stability issues with overclocks on these cards. So it appears similar to what Intel had to do with its CPUs to block out that exploit. Either NVIDIA via a firmware release or a third-party partner via a firmware release is going to have to release something to put a clock limit on the card because of its subpar power delivery on the die for the GPU. So the cards look amazing. People keep asking me, are you going to get a next generation console like an Xbox or a PlayStation 5? My answer is no. I'm waiting to get my hands on a 3080.
Well,
And
over
that's
here, the article is saying a graphics card like the GeForce RTX 3090 isn't for everyone, however.
no, the 3090 is not you'd be an idiot to buy the 3090.
Though its asking price is about $1,000 lower than its previous generation
Mhm.
Turing-based Titan RTX counterpart, it is
Yep.
still out of reach for most gamers.
Yeah, well, the problem you have is if you got that card, your CPU is not going to be quick enough to take advantage of the, you have a bottleneck. You have bottlenecks in your computer, so your GPU can be, the best in the world. But if you have an i5,
right,
what's the point? So yeah, the 3080 is the consumer card. The 3090 is, as you said, the Titan RTX, which was not a consumer card. That card was $2,900, I believe. It was not really a consumer card. Didn't make sense for normal consumers.
Mm-hmm.
But the 3080 does, but they're impossible to get. So,
and you're saying they have a problem?
Well, they don't have a problem per se. They have a stability issue with overclocking. Now, there is a
only if you overclock, you say.
Well, see, and that's the thing where people get frustrated is so you buy a card at a base clock or a CPU at a base clock. You can overclock a CPU or a GPU, but that's not what you bought, right? You bought a 3.7 gigahertz CPU. Now you might be able to overclock it to 4.1, but it's spec'd for 3.7, 3.8, whatever the base clock is.
Okay.
So it's one of these situations where in the past, you've always been able to overclock GPUs, and you still can with this one. But depending on the card, depending on the third-party manufacturer, and depending on what kind of power, it has something to do with the capacitors that are used on the power delivery system. Some cheaper cards are using cheaper capacitors, which again is not, they're not cutting corners. They're building it they're building it to NVIDIA spec. But people are noticing not performance, but stability issues with these cards being overclocked because there is the power, I guess, is just not as clean, or there's too much electronic noise in the power, and it's causing the cards to crash. So at base clock, from what I've read, everything is fine.
It's what?
Oh, suddenly everything's froze, but it probably was me. Okay.
Yeah. So at base clock, everything appears to be fine. It's when you start pushing the card to 100, 110, 105% that people are reporting stability issues.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the 3080.
Yes.
And the 3090.
Right.
But they came up with another one, right?
There will be a 3070, but it is not out, and it will not be. We don't know when. We don't know when it will be out.
And that one is going to be like substantially cheaper and perform better than the 20 something, right? The 2080.
Yes. Yeah. The 3080 is the peak consumer card as of now. And it's pretty reasonably priced. It's $599, which I know people go, "Oh my god," for a GPU, but that's not that for what you're getting compared to the 20 compared to the 20,000 the 2000 series GPUs. $599 is like robbing a bank. I mean, an equivalent card was more than double the price in the last generation. So
that's what I'm saying. The 3070 is equivalent or better than the 2080, and 2080 was $1,200.
Yep.
And the 3070 is going to be $499.
Something like that. Yeah.
The 70 and the 80 you're saying is going to be $599 or $699.
Yeah, it's $599 now. The price can vary based on third party. So like I know Asus has got one that's $699. Yeah, and that's always been the case. That's nothing new. But the Founders Edition from nVidia is $599, which is what I would spend on a next generation console. Well, I'd spend more than that, but that would be like what it costs to get into a next generation console. And I don't play those things anyway, so
Yeah.
to me it makes
But
sense.
I guess I don't need one. I mean,
No, probably
mine is
not.
only 1050.
Well, it
I mean, I
does
have a
do
1070 right
Plex.
now.
It does do Plex transcoding really, really well.
I mean,
I'm sure
look,
I'm sure the Linux support for the 3070 and 3080s is not where it needs to be as of right now.
Yeah.
GPU memory is being used as 34%, and CPU is only 9%.
Yeah, see, my bottleneck right now is my GPU. I have an older GPU. I have a 1070, and I've got that Ryzen 9 3900X, which is just a beast of a CPU. So
Mhm.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm ready to pull the trigger. If I can find one, I'll pounce.
But isn't it better to wait a little so they'll fix that problem with the powers?
They're not going to be able to fix that problem unless they have to re-die the cards, which they're not going to do. They'll just do similar to what Intel did. They'll put a clock limit in the firmware and call it a day. Which again,
Huh?
I don't overclock. I don't have any reason to. I'm not a
It's fast
benchmark.
enough.
I'm not a benchmark junkie. I'm not a performance junkie. I've had no reason to ever overclock. Maybe I should. Maybe it's just to me. It's just I don't have the knowledge to do it, and I don't really have a reason to do it, so I don't. Maybe I should. I'm not sure.
No, you shouldn't.
Well, no, I mean it's not hard to do. Actually, that's not true. I did actually overclock my current CPU, but I did that a very minimal overclock in the BIOS.
Conservative.
Yes, a very conservative in the BIOS.
All right. Here's something else that's interesting. Nick, you got yourself a camera security system?
You know, I do the Blink cameras, and
Yeah.
I'm not super happy with them. But yeah.
Uh-oh. And Gal, you have some too, right?
No, just
Whatever.
just the doorbell.
Yeah, well, here, Rings.
Yeah. Not Ring,
Ring's
but
latest home security camera is an autonomous drone called the Always Home Cam that can fly around inside your home to give you a perspective of any room you want when you're not home. Once it's done
fly
flying,
around.
what?
Fly around.
Yeah. Once
wouldn't
it's
trust
done
it.
flying, the Always Home Cam returns to its dock to charge its battery. It is expected to cost $249 when it starts shipping next year. You're supposed to draw a map of the house, and you tell it where to go and where not to go if you don't want them to go to certain places. But can you imagine? I mean,
Yes,
I
I
can
can
just.
imagine. I'll tell you why. I can imagine. I'll tell you why. About 2 years ago, there was, I think it's 2 years, maybe 3. There was an attempt by a few companies, these Kickstarter type sites. They had a small ball.
Yeah.
That would, and the idea was that small ball will contain a lot of sensors, and that ball has has some sort of motor in it, and it rolls around the house. There's a camera inside, and yes, it rolls, but because you have some sort of CPU, some sort of computer in it, right? It only
Shows.
cuts the frames that are valid, right, and creates a stream of ongoing video that looks completely normal, right? And so the idea was to have this autonomous ball roll around your home any time of the day, even while you can
Yeah,
decide even while you're
yeah.
at home, right? And it goes from room to room and tracks and goes and is attracted to sound, right? So if there's some sort of sound somewhere, it goes there and sends the detection over to the servers and to the mobile app and etc. None of these companies actually got to shipping date. They all went bust. I think Samsung was invested in one of them, and that went bust. So the concept has been there for a while, and apparently now it is reappeared as a
A
drone.
drone.
I don't know if I like the idea of something flying in my home that I do not have control over.
Well, I mean,
Right?
the ball you're talking about, we had one of those about 10, 15 years ago.
What do you mean with a camera in it?
No,
Yeah, there's a.
no, it
What do you
You know,
wasn't a
mean?
camera.
hamster.
It was a when the first um, um, robotic vacuum cleaner came about. This was the
Yeah.
cheap thing. It was like a
Okay.
round ring, and you put the ball in the middle of it, and the ball will just
Oh no, I know what you mean. No,
run.
no, this
And
is something else. Yeah.
can't remember what they used to call it, but that was fun. But yeah, I mean, look in at the chat. Alan says it looks good to me. Maybe da 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 da. It says, where was it? Something about the cat. Oh yeah, it said one will come home to all the smashed glass and other things broken because the cat was chasing the drone, thinking it was.
Exactly. It's something. So with a ball, with something that is earthbound, right?
Yeah,
It actually makes some sense. It it but a drone, I mean, people don't trust drones at all. Why
Mm.
would they trust living one that is
it's
autonomous at the
autonomous
home?
in the house.
Right?
It's
That's what I
interesting,
don't get.
They're trying.
Yeah, they're
They're trying and
trying.
trying. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It
This was I mean, you just said something about the ball. I never knew that they were. I mean, you don't have to have it turning and turning and turning with the camera inside turning, because the way that it was set up is, and you said you know about this. It gets to the wall and it hits the wall and it turns around and goes the other way. So if you can just build something that is like that little ring that was around the ball and mount the antenna on this, it's just, wherever it just shows you it. You don't need to do all the stupid
Well, you do need control about where to
oh
go and
yeah,
all that, and that robot didn't have that, right?
no,
So,
no,
so that's why you need some smarts in it. It needs to be a
yeah,
bit more
yeah,
smarter
okay,
than
yeah.
an iRobot, right? But yeah,
Is that what they
it's.
call
I
it,
mean, it's a
iRobot?
valid. I don't know why it didn't go up. It was
Yeah.
called Orbi. I'll find the link and I'll paste it in the chat.
Oh, Orbi was a very cool home assistant. Yeah, it
No,
was
no,
too
no.
expensive.
No, this
You're
is a
talking
vacuum.
about that face thing.
Yeah, the one that would
Yeah,
rotate.
no,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like a security solution.
Oh,
Oh,
There was literally a ball, a small ball that rolls on the
interesting,
ground.
interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's leave a uh, drone to fly around the house. Anyway, let's see what else we have here. Oh, this is interesting. I mean, I don't know how that would do it, but it's very very interesting story. The mystery of why an entire village lost its broadband every morning at 7 a.m. was solved when engineers discovered an old television was to blame.
yep.
An unnamed householder in Aberhausen, Poes, I don't know what that is, was unaware the old set would emit a signal which would interfere with the entire village's broadband. After 18 months, engineers began an investigation after a cable replacement program failed to fix the issue. The embarrassed householder promised not to use the television again. The village now has stable broadband signal. The engineers used the spectrum analyzer to help pinpoint the electrical noise that was causing the problem. At 7 a.m., like clockwork, it happened. It turned out that at 7 a.m. every morning, the occupant would switch on their old TV, which would in turn knock out broadband for the entire village. So some noise from an old TV. Now, I don't understand how somebody would turn their TV on like clockwork every day at 7 a.m. That's a little bit too far-fetched.
You watch a
But
program every morning at 7
yeah,
o'clock.
but you turn it, a minute before, sometimes you
Well,
late, so a minute after, 2
I
minutes,
think I think when they say 7
Yeah.
o'clock like clockwork, they say
Well,
within a couple minutes of 7 a.m. every morning.
so yeah, but so if you have a problem with your broadband at home, maybe you need to turn off your old TV.
Well, the craziest part to me is that the first thing that they didn't do was run a spectrum analyzer
Yeah.
in there. The first thing they did was replace a bunch of cable.
There-
That's poor. That's crappy troubleshooting and crappy engineering.
Now, they didn't replace cables. They did more than that. They, after cable replacement program failed to fix. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, they
I
did. They
was
replaced
thinking
a whole
about
bunch of cable.
system.
They were
Yeah, they
I
talking
mean,
about
yeah,
a system.
it was
that's-
a. I'm not. I'm no.
They replaced crappy cables with more crappy cables.
I mean, I'm not a. Electrical engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but a spectrum analyzer is especially for a cable company like that or a broadband company, is not that hard of a thing to get your hands on.
Obviously, they
That's-
had them, but
No, of
they
course not.
didn't think. It's
Yeah.
just like Spectrum. They wouldn't do anything until really. Come on, 18 months. That's 18 months, a year and a half.
Yeah. True. Yeah, lots of RFI.
Yeah.
Radio frequency interference. It is real.
Users have found a major bug in Apple's iOS 14 iPhone software. The free software upgrade, which Apple made publicly available last week, include features many users had long asked for, such as better ways to organize apps, leaving programs called widgets on the home screen, and the ability to change which default apps the phone uses to browse the web or send an email. That last one doesn't appear to work. I'm glad they did not elaborate more, but you may not want to do the upgrade to iOS 14 iPhone at this point until something is fixed. And we were talking about fast video card. Samsung has unveiled its next high-performance NVMe 2280 sized M.2 drive, the 980 Pro. So far, it comes in 3 capacities, shipping this month: $250, $89, $500. We're talking gigabytes. 149 and terabyte for $229. A 2 terabyte model will arrive later next year, but they didn't say how much. The standout feature of this drive is its compatibility with M.2 slots over the PCIe 4.0 interface. If you have a compatible motherboard, Samsung says the 980 Pro can go on a tear with sequential read-write speeds of up to 7,000 megabytes a second and 5,000 megabytes a second, respectively. So it depends which one. It claims that that this is 2 times faster performance than PCIe 3.0 SSDs and nearly 13 times faster than the more affordable but slower SATA SSD. 13 times faster than an SSD, today's SSD.
Yeah, M.2 is amazing.
Of course, to get the best speeds out of the Samsung M.2 drive, you will need a compatible motherboard with PCIe 4.0 M.2 slot.
Mhm.
Adoption of the tech is starting to ramp up, including mainstream computing products like AMD third generation Ryzen CPUs. Its Radeon RX 57 and 5700 XT GPUs, and more recently, NVIDIA's RTX 3080. Sony and Microsoft are also using the technology for their custom SSD technologies in the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X console. I heard you guys talking about S and X and all that on your show.
Oh, what a disaster.
So 13 times, I mean, we think that SSD is great, but SSD, and I'm talking about the drive, the SATA SSD,
Yep.
13 times faster. So that means that even the M.2 3 gigahertz, 3.0, PCIe 3.0 M.2 is much, much faster than any SATA SSD.
It is. That's why I went
And
with
it's
M.2
cheaper.
drives.
And it's cheaper.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily cheaper.
Every time I looked at prices, it was cheaper, and I figured it's because it doesn't have the case. It doesn't have to, it's just like a.
No, I mean,
dim.
my M.2s were pretty expensive.
Oh no, they're not cheap, but they're cheaper than the same size, I thought. Okay.
No, they're way more expensive than a regular. You can get a 4 or 5 terabyte SSD now for less than $100. An A-Data or something like that, not a Samsung Evo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went with 2 M.2 drives. I went with a 1 terabyte for my OS and then a 2 terabyte for my D drive, which is where I store like infection and video, all my video work and larger things I store on my games on my 2 terabyte.
Yeah, that
M.2.
is nice.
Because the 3 or 4 gigabyte, the 3 or 4 terabyte M.2s were just way too expensive.
Well,
so, the more you know.
The more you know. It's unbelievable to think 13 times faster.
Yeah, and it's noticeable.
Yeah. Cord cutting. According to new research from eMarketer, the cable, satellite, and telecom TV industry is on track to lose the most subscribers ever. This year, over 6 million U.S. households will cut the cord with pay TV, bringing the total number of cord cutter households to 31.2 million. The firm says that by 2024, the number will grow even further, reaching 46.6 million total cord cutters households, or more than a third of all U.S. households that no longer have pay TV. And I think this is a very conservative, because the more people will get educated to that how cord cutting is working, the more people say, oh, despite these significant declines, there are still more households that have a pay TV subscription than those that do not. Today, there were 77.6 million U.S. households that have cable, satellites, or telecom TV packages. But that number has declined 75% year over year. The figure is also down from pay TV's peak in 2014. The pay TV losses, as you may expect, are due to the growing adoption of streaming services But if anything, the pandemic has pushed forward the cord-cutting movement momentum as the health crisis contributed to a down economy and the loss of live sports during the first part of the year. I mean, uh, anything is happening with sports now? I don't know. I mean, I'm asking you guys.
What?
Anything happening with sports on TV?
The
There's
NBA
a
is
whole bunch of
done.
sports on.
So,
The finals start, or the finals are the finals are beginning.
so, but you
Football's
always,
back.
for most of them, you had to subscribe separately for like ESPN or something, or it was
Well, yes, but championship games like for the NBA and whatnot, that stuff will be over the air. That'll be on ABC.
okay.
Sports, of course, football. It'll be on your local. You'll have at least one game on your local CBS and or Fox. Plus Monday Night Football's on NBC. Baseball's not really on cable, but people aren't. NFL ratings are down almost 30%. So who knows what the
Yeah, I mean,
viewership on
it's
that looks
just
like.
interesting to see this and I mean, I'm wondering if those companies that are making those streams available and you pay them, if they will take advantage of the situation to say, you know what? Now that we're coming back, there's going to be a lot of people that would want it. Let's lower the price to make it a little bit more. No, you don't think so, Nick?
I've stopped watching sports,
Okay. All right.
and that's just me. But I haven't watched. And Amnon, you know this. I'm a big football fan.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched no football this year. I won't be watching any today either.
All right. Well,
So I guess
the,
that goes to the cord cutting thing, but it's also the political stuff
yeah.
as well.
I mean, they're talking about the fact that because of people losing their jobs or because of down economy and all that, that's what contributed. I think that the fact that people were home, they had the time to go on the internet and find out more about cord cutting and do something about it versus, oh, I'm just going to have to cut the cord, because you can't just cut the cord. You have to
Oh, you
replace it.
can.
No, you can, but I mean, maybe if you are a young single person, yeah, fine. But yeah, but I mean, families,
Yeah.
you want to have television, and it's doable, obviously. But you don't have time. If you work and the wife is working, you come home and you eat and you sit to watch. When do you do all this? But like Gal proved to me, I mean, it wasn't rocket science. Everything is available out there. You just need to know how to put it together. So,
Well, it's exactly like rocket science today. You do a bit of Googling and you get it.
But I'll say this: cord cutting is not for everyone. If you want to
No.
watch, if you want to watch sports, if you really want to watch channels like the Food Network and the Home and Garden Channel, all this stuff, it probably doesn't make sense to cord cut, because not all of those channels don't exist on one service for right now. It is not for everyone.
Yeah, but
Like,
remember, they don't really exist on one service, even on your cable fee, right? You need to buy those packages, etc.
Well, I mean, basic cable, at least through Spectrum, has got what, on freaking 600 channels or something. I mean, there's a lot of channels.
No, there aren't. There are about there are really there. Yeah, it's got a lot of channels. A lot of them are duplicates and stuff.
Duplicates, correct.
But Gal is right. There's a lot of these that after we cut the cord and we talk to them, they say, okay, you also have this package that's $3 a month. I say, what's in it? Oh, sci-fi and Better Home and Garden. And I said, oh, that's separate? Say, no, we don't want it. I said, I don't want any of those. So we had two packages. It's not like HBO or something, but it was extra money on top of
correct.
the basic.
that's part of the bundle, right? When you
Yeah,
get the
it's a
bundle, you
bundle,
get the
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
part of it.
And the thing is that when we cut the cord, and a lot of people don't know it until they cut the cord. Kathy liked to watch, like, remember, Gal, I was telling you, I want Hazel. So I want you to find me a channel where, and there were other programs that she liked to watch. And she said, yeah, but I'm not going to have this and I'm not going to have that. Well, guess what? After we cut, I said, okay, we're cutting it and you're just going to have to live with it. Oh, so there is a channel on the air called Antenna TV.
Yep.
A lot of the old sitcoms are on it. They don't put that on cable.
Correct. It's an over-the-air
So you don't,
service.
yeah, so you don't know about it.
Yeah, it's an over-the-air service.
So this is great. Now it's if we're watching live, it's either Laugh, Laff, it's Antenna TV, it's 50.2, which is
Cozy TV.
Me TV or Cozy TV, and all these
Mhm.
that were available on channel, on
Yeah.
cable. And now they're available here. And there is more available here than there was on channel. There are some, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Some of, not just Me TV, but not just Antenna TV, but there are other channels that were not on cable. Say, oh, gosh, look, you can watch this.
I will say one thing, though.
Yeah.
You are very fortunate.
Because we are. I understand.
You are in a very strong television market.
Okay. Let me tell you
Even
something.
contrary to its population size, Raleigh is one of the best television markets in the country. And it's been like that since the early days of WRAL. And it's just a very competitive, very strong market. Down here in Wilmington, not quite the case. There's two channels, Channel 6 and Channel 3. They're both and the Fox and NBC affiliate are both the same company, and the ABC and CBS affiliate are the same company. So that your pickings are quite less down here. But it does very much depend on geography and what's available as well.
I agree. But here's something that I never thought would be. Marshall bought a house in the mountains on Black Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of nowhere. He cannot get Spectrum. He cannot get AT&T. They have a dish that brings internet.
Okay.
No, they have one of them. I'm sorry, because they had cable TV. And we were talking, and I told him what we did, and he said, "Oh, he went ahead and he bought one of those Clearstream antenna
Mhm.
and put it inside the room. He came up inside with 56 channels from around the western part of the state.
Yeah.
From Charlotte, from different places. Some of them are duplicates, but I think he said that there were 32 different ones.
He's on the top of a mountain.
He's on top of a mountain.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Television is line of sight. So if
Yeah.
you're on top of a mountain, you're going to have very good signal.
The map did not show that much.
No,
That's
because the map doesn't
interesting.
calculate elevation.
Yeah. So
The map
yeah,
is those maps are pretty much generated by sea level. If you're on the top of a mountain and you have an antenna with a large enough gain or high enough gain, yeah, you'll be able to pick a bunch of that stuff up.
Yeah. So
it's all line of sight.
Right. So here's a place where technology did not get to yet, but this is much better.
Well, I mean, that's why analog TV, that's why so many people were miffed when the FCC required the shutdown of analog television, because you have a lot of fringe areas. Digital is either on or off.
Right.
Analog TV, you can watch with static. You could watch with
snow,
with noise,
yeah,
with snow.
Yeah.
You can't watch digital TV with snow. It does not work.
Right.
And in my case down here, based on where I am, I don't have my antenna all that high. I have some artifacting and some freezing on digital. I really just need to put the antenna up higher, but
Try to turn it. Are we still talking about the same antenna, that flat one?
Yes.
Yeah, turn it a
But
little bit. Turn it like 10 degrees at a time. I mean,
well,
I have
yeah, I mean, I could, but
I have the same thing in the bedroom, one of those antennas sitting on a little stand. And if I see artifacts, I'll just get up and I'll just move it a little bit one way. Poof, everything, no artifacts. It's in another channel now. So you have to go and adjust it again. But yeah, that you can do with it. The point is that yes, I agree. You need to make sure that your area has what you want if you cut the cord. Absolutely. That's a good point. Good point.
oh, thank you.
Yeah. No. It's yeah. But if you have internet and you get to Roku. Roku has, is it Roku or
They
which
all
one?
have it.
Which one
Roku's got
has
one, Plex has got one,
the
Zoo
live TV?
they've
Not
all
not
got it.
of the yeah, and there's a lot of
Plex.
channels on it somehow.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of free to air
yeah,
networks
right.
that are on that. Yeah.
So take a look at that too and see maybe
Pluto, Zumo TV.
yeah, there's a whole bunch. And
Yeah.
it may do you good not to have the local channels.
You always want your local.
Well, I
And
don't
that's the easiest, cheapest thing. I mean, you can stick you
yeah,
used to be able to, you could stick a paper clipper into the antenna port and pick up, based on where Amnon lives, you could probably stick a paper clip into a antenna and get
it works.
signal.
It works, but I mean the blessing is twofold. One is the money. There's no doubt. It's more than $100 less a month. And second is you're not exposed to all that junk out there.
Fake news, folks, fake news.
Fake news. Yeah. So yeah, that's my report. Thank you, Gal. You're muted, I think.
No, just
Oh.
not
Oh,
saying anything.
oh, oh. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I put up an article on my blog about connecting a cyber power UPS with, they've got a software called
Right.
Power Panel.
Right.
And I wrote a little script using a service called SSMTP on Linux so that it will send me an email when the power goes out. So I'll post a link to that in chat if anybody wants to
And
check it out.
this is Nick's blog, dudeinit.com. What you see
Yeah,
at
I
the
mean,
bottom.
I don't put stuff on it all that often, but
Yeah.
this was a couple days of troubleshooting to figure out what service to use, what was the best one to use, and I finally found this and tested it, and
Nice.
it worked and works pretty well.
Good, good.
So you're gonna lose power for the server that's sending out the message?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an initial
But it's
notice
on
more than
but
anything
it's on
else.
UPS. That's the
Yeah,
UPS, so it will send the
Yeah,
message
but what
before.
about internet?
it's all on UPS, and which is the
Uh,
first line of
uh, uh,
my article. The
no, no,
first line
no.
of my article is: please note, if your router and modem are not on a UPS or your internet fails during a power outage, this process will be useless. That's the
Now,
first
yeah,
disclaimer line of
Okay.
my article.
remember one thing. I mean, the fact that the router and modem are a UPS doesn't mean that your internet will stay up.
AT&T, my friend, I'm
Yeah,
good.
AT&T will stay up.
AT&T performed very, very well during the last hurricane. I was rather impressed.
But
And since I bitched about my internet going, because I had the service like 14 days and it had been out a couple times, it hasn't been out since. They're doing a lot of construction though, so I think that they were probably jumping or patching in a new something or other. But it's been rock solid since.
talking about internet and interruptions. Like, so what, 2 weeks ago I switched from Restream IO to Caster IO. and I said everything is great. Well, something is going on with Caster.io because I get about 5 or 6 messages a day that now on your YouTube, this and this is playing. And the only time this happens is when you start to stream.
Yep. I've seen that on. Yep.
So the live, the reruns were running on AT&T. And I said, well, let's see if switching to Spectrum will make it any difference. I switched yesterday morning. I got one, but it may be that it had something to do with Ron rebooting something on the server. I don't know. The thing is that if it's not that, then it's got to be Caster, because it can't be that all 3-4 services go down. The good thing is that it's momentary enough that it comes right back. And remember
the problem you're having though,
Yeah.
is that I'm subscribed to Nissan Communications on YouTube, and then there's about 6 videos on my subscription box of the past live streams.
Really?
Yeah, because the streams, once the stream ends, it is archived.
Yeah. What archive? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't archive anything. I don't record the thing
Well,
because
So
I
you
didn't.
can view past shows.
you need to turn that off then, because there's a 5-hour and 55-minute live stream from 9 hours ago that's in my subscription box, and there's another 5-hour and 5-minute one from 11 hours ago.
I may need. Well,
You got to set them.
Maybe
You got to
it's-
set those videos as unlisted afterwards, and it probably changed when you re-authenticated Caster, because they used that. The YouTube changed that streaming
Yeah.
API.
right.
So-
That may be. Maybe I need to go and look at that. But
Check it out. I had to do
yeah.
the same thing with Infection.
Okay. Yeah, I did not change anything other than just connect to it, because they don't do any more YouTube now. Now it's YouTube events.
Yep.
And I thought they said that all you have to do is just tell them, okay, well. But the thing is that it does come back. Before, whenever it'll break, it would break, I'll come in here and, the stream is dead. Because it only tries for, I think, 10 times. Click, click, click. This one, I haven't seen it going down. So, yeah, but I need to look at it. Okay, guys. Well, anything else, Gal? No. All right. Well, thanks, Gal. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Nick. Oh. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dina, Arlet, Micha. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. Tonight at 7, Nick is doing his show Against the Norm at atnshow.com. If you're in Wilmington, North Carolina, you can listen to him on FM 106.7, Wilmington Big Talker. We'll get together again next Sunday. Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.